Hello, everybody. Back here again for another recumbent bike outing. And today's little trip is my longest trip to date on the bike. And I head through, I had to drop off some checks, I need to make some deposits. And I pull up here at the bank, and this part takes forever. This is 800 times speed. So basically, as long as this takes, just imagine it way longer than this. So I went ahead and kind of left this in. I was going to cut this part out, but I thought, what the heck, I might as well leave it in just because the fact that it annoyed me that bad. I was hoping it might annoy you a little bit too. This van in front of me just absolutely goes on forever. I finally give up right here and I actually reach out and turn off the camera. This takes like another, I bet it was a good 15 minutes. It was the point I was like, I can't even sit on my seat, this recumbent, which is so comfortable, any longer. I was like literally standing up. There's cars behind me. And all it was is the people in the van did not know their account number, and they kept giving them the wrong account number, kept giving them the wrong name. I could hear them like bitching and complaining. And I'm like, after about 15 minutes, you ain't figured it out. It might be you, not the bank. Maybe you go home, check your records, find a canceled check, find something, bring it back up. Or here's a novel idea: go to the main branch bank so you can actually stand inside, take one of the 5 tellers they're using, and not block the entire drive-through here. Because of course we only had one woman working inside the drive-through at the moment, so everybody sat there while this person bitched and complained, and it was ridiculous. And the woman in the bank should have stepped over and started helping people in other lengths. There was people there, but she wouldn't even step away from them. So anyway, that's all over with. I got back out here on the road. I decided to take a little trip. I had kind of a weird loop out that I was going to do. Didn't end up making the full loop, but I'll tell you more there later. This spot here, I saw what looked like a coat had blown off somebody's truck, whatever, so I stopped to check to see if it was a decent coat. Also check and make sure there's no money in the pockets or an ID in case it was somebody's coat to actually get it back to them. I went ahead and left it there because I didn't feel like dragging it all the way with me, but I did bring it up by the road a little closer and stuck it. So in case somebody wanted it, it did have a rip in it, but it's still a decent coat if somebody wanted it. I've picked up trash before. I've done different things like that. Mostly when I'm out running or walking, I'll pick up trash. Biking, it seems like it's a lot of lost energy just to pull over, grab a bag, go pick up some trash and that. But I will check if there's something that looks like it might be of value, like a coat, something like that. I'll take the time to pull over and stop and check and see what it is and if it has anything that's worth dragging home. So that's what I've done here so far. The other thing, as I'm heading out this way, I'm heading directly west, and the wind is coming out of the west. We're getting gusts of 20 mile an hour plus. It was absolutely ridiculous. Even like this here, you can see this is virtually a flat spot of ground. I could not shift into high gear on my front sprocket. I was stuck in second of the front sprocket most of the time, even in seventh on the rear sprocket, not even up into eighth. So I knew this wind was kicking my butt. I literally was out here just not enjoying this at all. And again, like I said, it's my longest trip I'd ever made. I was planning on going out west, and then I was going to catch the highway back, an old highway, back to the south. I was going to come back east on an even much windier, much hillier road, but a little different scenic route. It would have been about 30 miles or so round trip. And I thought, well, I could probably handle that. I've done, close to that before. And I went ahead, no, it was going to be 36 miles, 36-mile round trip. And I thought, I'll give it a shot. Worst case scenario, you pull over, you rest for a while, and you ride yourself home. And if you want to, you push the bike for a while. It's not like I'm going to be out in the middle of the desert or out in the middle of the Arctic somewhere where I wouldn't be able to make it back, or even in the middle of a lake or ocean. If I couldn't swim, I'm not going to drown out here. So the problem with it is, with this crazy wind, it's just kicking my butt. It's just a constant, even literally down the hills, I had to pedal. Like, there wasn't any coasting involved because the wind was in my face so bad the whole time that it was just kicking my butt. I was not enjoying it one bit. So I didn't know what to do there. I just kept on pedaling away. So I just kept plugging away and just felt like I was getting no rest. A lot of times on the bike, you kind of feel like you can catch a little rest down the hills. Even though I'm usually finding myself, as I'm out here riding, pedaling down a lot of the hills too, because it's just such an easier pedal. And I like to get as much momentum, as much distance I can, and then have a head start on the next big uphill. So I found that I'd rather pedal down and have the speed to get up the top. But even like right here, this is a downhill slope spot. I was literally having to pedal because if I let off pedaling, I would like almost come to a stop. Like, it was slowing me down so much, it was ridiculous. Right here, I stopped over to kind of check out some of the little timber area and stuff. And also, I had to take a leak is actually what happened. So I went over there in one of the evergreen trees and relieved myself on the side of the road. It's one of the things I did a little research on the whole biking thing, and they said it's one of the deals when you're out here riding for as long as you can. You want to stay hydrated. You want to take a leak every hour or two at least. I'd only been on the bike at this moment about 30 minutes or so, somewhere in there maybe. But what can you say? I needed to go, so I went ahead and went. So definitely not a lot of cars. You can see there's some cars out here on the highway, but it's not horrible. But it's just a constant mind game. Like I said, I'm not really used to the wind and that. I'm not used to riding the highway. I'm still getting used to all that. I'm thinking about maybe looking to getting a windshield for the bike just to kind of help take a little bit of that aerodynamic drag. The recumbents are horrible about aerodynamics, and that wind was literally just slaughtering me. So I was kept telling myself to give up, turn around, give up, turn around, and it just, I don't know, it was getting in my head. I kept telling myself, okay, next spot I have, I'm going to turn around there, or I was chickening out if I should go back south because that would add about, I figured 8 miles to my trip, and I wasn't sure if I really wanted to add that extra 8 miles or not. So I just kept telling myself to keep plugging along. There's nothing else you can really do but just keep pedaling. So that's what I did. I just kept pedaling. So one of the things here, you get up, you notice there's really not much of a good rideable shoulder. And I was going up this hill here, and I realized there was a semi trying to pass me. So I went ahead and got out of his way because there was cars coming. I didn't want to have to make the guy come to a stop on the hill or almost a stop. I probably dropped down to 3 or 4 mile an hour, if that, on some of these bigger hills. And they're not that steep. It's that they're that long. I mean, these hills just go on and on forever, and it's rather kind of annoying setup where you just feel like you're never going to see the top. You're never going to see the crest line. And then, of course, I get up over the top, and what do I have? But so much wind back in my face that literally, I mean, I think I reached a maximum of like 22, 23 mile an hour, something like that on this ride out. It was so horrible, so weak. I think my average speed all the way out here was like 9.5 mile an hour, something like that, 10 mile an hour. It was just, I don't know. I pulled off side of the road there again, as you saw, for another semi. When there's cars coming at me, there's a semi behind me. I try and be cordial and I try and get off the road, even though legally I have the right to the entire lane as much as the car does. I try not to piss people off any more than I have to. Some people are just born pissed off when it comes to bikers, but other people, they understand everybody has a right to the road. So I'm just out here just riding along and decided I finally was, there's a little small little church area coming up here, and that's where I decided my little resting point slash turnaround point was going to be. And that's what I ended up doing. I ended up pulling over there, and that's where I'm going to end this part one of this little trip, and then I'll pick up on part two and explain more about it. So have yourself a safe and wonderful day. Thanks for watching, and get out there and pedal somewhere.